everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. Like always, I am one of your hosts, Dallas, wearing number 9, Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens.
As always, I'm Brendan, wearing 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
We got a pretty good episode for you guys today. We are going to talk a lot in a short amount of time, try and get through it kind of quickly. Of course, we're going to talk our games of the week. Got plenty of breaking news. We're going to talk WNBA, college football, all of it. So let's get into it. Brendan, you want to start us off with breaking news?
Yeah, so first of all, apologies for last week that we didn't do what we said we were going to.
Oh, yeah.
We did not do a preview. That is my fault. I was sick all week. Figured it was better for us to wait, me to get better, you to have like an actual good video than to do one last week. So we'll do them this week.
Y'all, I talked to him on the phone. You didn't want to listen to that. I didn't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
It's all you. This is better.
So that cleared up. We got a lot of injuries that happened this week. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver for the 49ers, tore his ACL and MCL, done for the season. This comes after just getting paid right before the season starts. Really unfortunate. Unfortunate. Gonna have to move on. He thankfully does have security beyond the season, but not really sure what that means for his future. Don't know when he'll be back. And then Deshaun Watson, quarterback of the Browns, tore his Achilles. He's also done for the season, and he's also got insurance. He'll be playing throughout his contract. It is interesting. This does save the Browns some money this year, due to like the insurance and the injury. Most teams do have those in contracts now, so they can kind of recoup some capital that way. But another shitty injury. Torn Achilles, done for the season. Chris Godwin is likely out for the season. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver. It's been reported as a dislocated ankle. I'm not really sure how that was only dislocated. But if it was only dislocated, I'm hoping that that's the case, because then that's a little easier of a recovery, but it's still not great. Still required surgery. Still probably done for the season. So nothing great there. So those were the three big injuries coming out of the week. Some big name players.
I am actually going to talk about two of them.
Yes,
they
you
are relevant to my week, and I think you're going to talk about one of them. So I know we kind of went through it quickly, but we are going to discuss it.
Yeah, and then just a couple more things really quickly. Tua Tagovailoa was medically cleared to return to football. I don't think it's going to happen soon-ish, but he has been cleared by a doctor to continue to play football if he decides to.
He is technically cleared to play next week.
Yes.
And I believe they've taken him off IR.
So this does bring up the point of Tua does still want to play, but if he chose to retire now, he forfeits the vast majority of his contract. So that's something to keep an eye on. I doubt he chooses to retire, but at this point, if he does forfeit a lot of the possibility in his contract. And then the last but not least, Hassan Reddick ends his holdout with the Jets, returns to the Jets. On his current deal that he's been on, which is the reason he was on the holdout, but he is ending it so that he doesn't get fined anymore, and the Jets are willing to essentially forgive all of his fines, and that's part of the reason he's going back.
Been a complete waste of time.
Yep.
Complete waste of time.
Wasting everybody's time, himself, the organizations, the NFLs, damn near everybody.
Because they're giving him just enough extra money, because they can't completely waive the fines. You can only do that if you're coming off a rookie deal. But they're giving him just enough to basically pay off those fines.
Yep.
which if you'd just been at training camp on your current contract, if you'd done all those things, you wouldn't have fines. You'd also be in football shape. You'd have chemistry with the team. You'd have all these things. And I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused by everybody's current opinion on the state of the Jets. Like, Devontae Adams, like, I'm going from a failing organization to a winner. What makes you think that? Hassan Reddick's like, I'm going to get off the couch to play for a winner. Why? Why? Like, they're not a good team. They're not a good team. There's a lot of talent. I'm not denying that. Talent doesn't make a team. That's not the NBA. You got to have cohesion. Have to be able to play together. You fired a head coach. You fired a coordinator. You traded a bunch of pieces. We're trash talking wide receivers in the media. God. I do not think that Devontae Adams or Hassan Reddick is going to fix this travesty. So I'm a little confused about all the choices we're making and when we're making them. When, once again, seriously, you could have just shown up for training camp for your same contract and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, it's just a lot of weird decisions happening all over the place. And the Hassan Reddick one doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Like, if you want to hold out for money, like, in this case, I understood. You were traded with the assumption you were going to get a new contract. You made that abundantly clear when they traded for you that you wanted a new contract. Fine. I respect the holdout. I get it. It's week 7, bro. You cannot honestly tell me you're in football shape. He's going to play next week. I guess we'll see.
I mean,
You haven't taken. I don't care how much you work out. You haven't taken live reps.
Who do they play next week? I want to say they don't. Oh, they play the Patriots next week. So I mean, like.
Okay, well then.
You know what? Yeah.
Okay, sure.
You don't have to be good to beat them.
No. You just have to be breathing.
Yeah. Now, plot twist: the Patriots beat them. That would be.
I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah.
So, I think it's interesting with May because the last time they played Brissett.
Yeah.
And May puts more points on the board.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to. That won't be a game of the week, but we'll still pay attention to it.
I know.
All right. Well, you want to talk Ravens?
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for breaking news, everybody. Again, we're gonna talk some of that stuff a little more in depthly as we get there. Monday Night Football. Ravens at Tampa Bay, 41-31 final score. It was a great offensive performance. We are going to start with the offense. It was definitely more of a pass-heavy game. They definitely ran the ball still. With Lamar and Hill. We kind of saw Derrick Henry not really get used until the fourth quarter. I think in honesty, that's kind of the plan, is to maybe use Henry through some packages throughout the game, but then really use him in the fourth quarter when defenses are already tired. And the thought of tackling a 280-pound man running 21 miles an hour down the sideline sounds like a fucking nightmare. I watched it happen last night. I watched 3 safeties stand there, seeing him come at them, kind of go, maybe not. I'm really enjoying seeing it because even when they were behind at 10-0, they are not abandoning the run. Yes, they are throwing the ball more. Lamar is throwing the ball more. But this is who they always wanted to be. They always wanted to be like a 60-40 run pass. And that's really what we're seeing right now. I'm really enjoying it. You are seeing phenomenal chemistry with his pass catchers, which has been great. Zay was looking really good. He didn't have much production after the ankle scare. He was still out there, so I do believe he's fine. I think it was really Lamar's kind of like I'm not going to throw to him if I don't have to. Just keep him healthy. 2 passing touchdowns to Mark Andrews does make him the Ravens touchdown does give him the Ravens touchdown franchise record at 46, which is really awesome, really great for him. I know everyone was kind of concerned about him starting the season slow. He's getting there. It looks great. He and Lamar, I think, have really found that chemistry back. Bateman has definitely become his deep ball wide receiver. I know we've seen attempts for that in the past, where sometimes it looks really great and sometimes it doesn't go so well. We're really seeing that consistency this year with Bateman having the full training camp and Lamar having time with him. It's looking phenomenal. So that's been really great to see. Offensively, it's just been great. The O line did have some struggles last night in terms of pass protection as well as penalties. Literally every member of the O line got flagged for a penalty, whether it was holding or illegal man downfield or whatever. Literally the only one that didn't was McCarthy, and I think he only played like 4 snaps. It was crazy. Um, when they face those kind of pressure heavy defensive teams, they don't give up as many sacks. I know the first 2 on that opening drive didn't look awesome, but it's the penalties. It's the penalties that are killing them. I think they're so young that watching Lamar take sacks kind of scares them. So they're like, well, we would rather take the holding penalty than the sack, which I can respect. Let's recognize that Lamar is who he is, and 9 out of 10 times is going to avoid it as long as you don't just completely let a runner free. That is the few times he gets sacked, is if a runner breaks, like, is never even touched, Lamar doesn't have time to react. Um, so I did see some struggles there. I did kind of anticipate that. This was one of the better defenses the Ravens had seen in a couple of weeks. But overall, their ability to open up the run block, and their ability to give him time. His 2 deep ball passes to Bateman, he had a little bit more time on the throw. It looked really good. So it was really exciting. A couple other stats I'm going to get to, but I'm going to wait until I get to my players of the game. Final note on the offense, I think my favorite part was not how well they played, but that they did not take their foot up off the gas. I remember, think I don't remember what quarter it was. It would have been the third or the fourth. Um, it was like 4th and goal to go, and I was like, okay, you'll kick the field goal. Um, and they end up going for it, and I was like, I don't really see the point. I don't really get why I wouldn't do that. And then they got it, and I was like, you know what? That's this offense's way of saying we are not done. We're going to keep putting points on the board. That way, if the defense, no matter what happens with the defense, we have secured ourselves. So I really appreciated that. I really respected that. Now to the defensive side of the ball. I do not think the final score was genuinely indicative of how they played. What I mean by that is, yes, they gave up the 2 back-to-back scoring drives in the beginning, the touchdown and field goal. But then you really saw the defense get going. Marlon Humphrey had the 2 interceptions. They had several 3-and-outs, several sacks. They were able to end 6 drives consecutively. It looked really good. They were operating on all cylinders. Entering the 4th quarter, it is normal for teams to give up points. Defenses are tired. Offenses take more chances. They tend to run hurry ups way more. It's normal for offenses to get points. Lamar basically handed them 7 with the backwards pass to Zay that didn't go so well. For anybody out there criticizing Isaiah Likely's tackling, by the way. At no point did he attempt to tackle that person. And I'm not bothered by this because one, both he and Zay knew the player was down by contact. That's why Zay stayed on the ground. Two, at that point, when the play was allowed to continue, Isaiah was just trying to rip the ball out of his hands. He did not give a crap about getting him on the ground. He just wanted the ball. It was ruled player was down by contact. So, but Lamar basically handed the team those 7 points. To then go and recover an onside kick, a defense is just out there too long. It's fourth quarter. They're tired. This is normal. But once again, like we've seen every week in the biggest spots when it mattered the most, the defense came up with the big plays. They came up with the stops. They got the sacks. They got the interceptions. I think because it doesn't look like the flashy Ravens defense it has. I think because they're not having the blowouts or the shutouts the way they have in the past, we've been a little more quick to criticize. But based off the play I'm seeing, it is normal to give up points in the fourth quarter. I do feel like the D line's been taking a little time to get going. Especially to start the game, they were really giving up the run quite a bit. I kind of mentioned that concern last week that with them so focused on the pass game, they're letting the run get away from them a little. So I do think they need to tighten that up. Um, Obviously, Marlon Humphrey being down is a blow. He has been phenomenal this year. Multiple interceptions through multiple games. He's looked great. Obviously, he had the two Monday night, which were phenomenal. It really shows his football IQ, his ability to read a quarterback. So that's been really great. I do not have an update. I do know he was up walking around the locker room. They were supposed to provide an update today. They didn't. Sons of bitches. So we will keep an eye on that situation. I do think it was mildly precautionary. Humphrey has had lower leg injuries. So I do think it's possible that they just went, hey, you got the two interceptions. Like, you've been playing just fine, bud. Like, it's all right to sit down. So we'll see. Also in the fourth quarter, we are going to talk a little bit about the Bucks side of it here in a minute, but Roquan's final tackle on Godwin, that knocked Godwin out of the game, is currently being evaluated. If the league determines it was a hip drop tackle, they will fine him. It wasn't flagged as such on the play or in game. It was extremely heartbreaking to watch. The team's reaction to that was pretty devastating. Um, you know, Roquan is a great player. He's been a great Raven. I know he did not want to hurt him on purpose. He was trying to make a football play, and unfortunately, it just kind of got away from him. I do know that after the game, Hardball went over to the Bucks locker room and hugged Godwin and made sure that he and Mike Evans were okay. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that situation, but there is potentially a fine coming down if they determine it was a hip drop. Um, Special teams, Tucker was perfect. Devontae Walker made his team debut on special teams, so that was exciting to see. Exciting for the rookie. Gotta stop with giving up an onside kick. Like, what the hell? We give up one and then we save the next. Stop it. Save both. It's not. I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. I feel like when the play happens, like that side of the field is confused. They're like, oh, wait, do we wait for the ball? Do we wait? It's like we don't remember what we're supposed to do. And then the second one, we know what's supposed to happen. I don't understand. I'm not liking it. Stop it. Players of the game. Offensive is Lamar. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. He had 5 passing touchdowns with 0 interceptions. That marks his 5th game of doing that. Only Brady and Drew Brees have more at 8 games. Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Roethlisberger are all tied with him at 5 games. It's impressive, especially the criticism that Lamar's gotten as a passer. When you look at some of those fantastical stats, he does rank at the top of the league and top all time. He is clearly the MVP of the league right now, and it's not even close. Still don't think he's gonna win it, but
There's a couple arguments I could make right now, but
in terms of quarterbacks, I think the only one kind of there is maybe Goff.
I was gonna say Goff. He has
Um,
more touchdown passes than incompletions thrown
and that's
the
yeah.
past couple games, which is stupid to say out loud. But
Lamar's was the exact same. He had 5 touchdown passes and 5
I think over
incompletions.
the last 3 games, Goff has 18 to 10, I believe.
There you go.
Or I don't know
Yeah,
if that's the
Goff I
season. I
could
don't know,
see.
but
Goff I could Goff I could get. But it's Lamar's right up there. Still don't think he's gonna win it. Still think it's a mute conversation. But everybody else in the media is gonna talk about it, so we may mention it as the season develops. Defensive player, despite going out early, I am gonna give it to Humphrey. The 2 interceptions I felt like were really big turning points in the game. Um, the Bucks had gone up 10-0, and the Ravens offense just didn't really have a ton of life. They were struggling to get the ball moving. And then with those interceptions, just a huge momentum shift. It was great to see. And shout out to him. I do want to briefly talk about the end of the game. I have been adamant and vocal about not giving up on fighting until the end. Um, at some point, though, you have to call time of death because the casualties aren't worth it. They lost 3 key players this game on the Bucks side of things. Mike Evans went in with the hamstring issue. They knew it was a potential problem. Chris Godwin at the end of the game was heartbreaking. And Tyreek, I do not quite remember his name off the top of my head. I do apologize. Went out with the concussion.
was it Tyke Smith?
Tyke, that's it. There it is. Tyke Smith went out with the concussion. You're down by 10. It's like not quite a minute left. The moment Godwin went out, all life was taken from that team. You could see it. There was no energy. There was no drive. I'm not criticizing them for it. When you see your brother go down like that, it is very difficult. It would have been damn near impossible to come back anyway. But this slow, lackadaisical, we're gonna kind of half-ass keep trying. Bro, just call time at that point. The announcers were like, "My God, what are we doing?" The Ravens defense and the Ravens sideline were like, "My God, what are we doing?" Baker looked like he was thinking, "My God, what are we doing?" At some point, just end it, just end the game. Baker's final run to end it did just seal the deal, but yeah, I've been critical of teams that give up. I don't think this one was giving up. If they had, it just was, let's live to fight another day. Because I definitely don't think they're in the position now. They're definitely not better than they were to start the game. Mike Evans is out until at least the bye week, which is week 12. ACL injuries are roughly a year. So that's week 7 of next season. That's pretty rough. Same with Ayuk, that's a year at minimum. I'm all for fighting. I get they're pro athletes. We want to compete. We want to be competitive. We want to stay in it. But it's kind of like when we tell a quarterback, throw the ball away, don't take the sack, live to fight another day. This moment doesn't really matter in the long run. Like the Ravens and the Bucks, that doesn't matter. They play in different conferences. They're both a top or second in their division. Just just live to fight another day. Um, I have a lot of respect for the Buccaneers. I have a lot of respect for Baker. I think he's playing really well. Um, the interception, sometimes he's a little reckless, but he is a guy that he'll fight for every yard, every play, every moment. He will fight for his guys. I think we've seen massive maturity in him over the last few years. I'm a big fan of his, and to watch his brothers go down and his reaction, that was pretty heartbreaking. Um, Following the game, injury news: Arthur Millette was officially activated to the main roster, with Josh Ross being waived. I don't even know who that is, so that's okay. And I'm still waiting on Humphrey news. I've been kind of checking Twitter while we're talking, just hoping maybe. I kind of doubt it. I think I was lied to, because John Harbaugh's press conference is not happening today. It's happening tomorrow, so I don't know why we thought we'd have an update today, but I was hopeful. So yeah, I think that is it for my takes on the Ravens games. Brendan, I do know you watched this game.
I did actually. Well,
Did you
watched
have
is a loose
thoughts?
term. It was
Manning
on
Cast is
in
only
the
half
background.
watching.
And it was on in the background while I was doing homework and other stuff. So
Sure.
I thought it was, Lamar obviously had a otherworldly performance other than the one fumble. Um, I don't even really think like it is what it is. It's kind of on both of them, but other than that, like five passing, it was incredible from him. The one throw down the field to I think it was Bateman.
Hmm.
That was just on a dime, on a rope. Looked great. Your defense did, I think, felt like was struggling at one point, but I never like looked at it and went, they're playing terribly.
Yeah.
There were just times
And
I
that
was
was
like,
kind of how
wow.
I felt.
Um, but towards the end, I kind of stopped paying attention. Um, kind of once the score got a little out of hand,
Yep.
I did see the um, onside kick, and I find it very interesting that the Ravens are like the only team to allow an onside kick to happen, and they've allowed it happen twice.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Um, yeah, so you gotta figure that out.
Yeah. Definitely some things to work on going into next week. Um, we'll talk more about that when we look ahead and during our preview. And I'm gonna explain choices I've made. Because
Yeah,
I think it will be
here's
better.
here's
It
a
actually
choice.
just kind of worked out this week. Uh, I didn't know that, but it does just kind of work out that way this week. It's the game I have to watch this week that I'm depressed about.
All right.
All right, Brendan, talk to us about Seahawks.
Um,
Got the win
I was like pretty big win,
over Atlanta.
pretty big win in Atlanta. Seahawks go to Atlanta, win 34-14. Huge win. Really needed it. Needed to get back in that win column after three straight losses. Um, against a really decent Falcons team, 4-2 going into it. Had some big wins. So I'll start on the offense. I thought this was the best game the offensive line played, and I don't really think it's close. Gino was sacked once. There's pressure on him a lot, but he was able to get out of it pretty easily. One sack, and I thought they did give him enough time to really um, work his magic, and he did this game. Huge shout out to Mike Jarrell, um, rookie out of Finley. Um, if no one knows that college, it's because it's a D2 school. Um, so yeah, huge shout out. Right tackle, first ever start, played pretty solid. Um, kind of looking to him to start next week. We'll kind of see. The Seahawks did release some news that I'll get to later on the injury front. But I'll get to that in a little bit. On to Geno. I thought he looked good. No turnovers, 2 touchdowns. This is his first game this season with 2 touchdowns, which saying it aloud is kind of crazy considering I think he's been playing really. Nope, seriously, first game with
I
2 passing
it's like
touchdowns.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no, I guess the rest have been rushing.
Yeah, he's had a couple rushing,
So
but this is the first game with 2 passing touchdowns, which is really, really weird to say, considering I think
yeah,
he's played really good football this year, but the touchdowns just haven't come. Part of that is K9 has been kind of doing it for him.
yeah,
But yeah, he looked good. Over 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers. Just a really solid game. Kind of needed that coming back from the shit show that was the 49ers. Um, yeah, just a quality game from him. Quality game. He did have like one absolutely incredible throw to DK for a touchdown towards the end of the second quarter, going into the half. Um, that I think really turned the tide of the game in a way. But yeah, I thought the offensive coordinator Grubb called a pretty solid game. I had been pretty critical of him over the past couple weeks, but I thought he, you know, called a solid game. Good runs, good passes, good mixture. Definitely saw the attempt to get the run game going. Um, just overall solid game from them. When the offense puts up 27 points, I can't complain. It was just a really good game. K9 looked great. 2 touchdown, one rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. Uh, even with him having the flu before the game, uh, for him to put those kind of numbers up, fantastic. Charbonnet was a little less featured in this game. I think part of that was K9 was just kind of doing his thing. But Charbonnet did end up having a really important rush where they gave it to him on fourth down, ends up getting the 1 yard they needed plus another couple. Huge play there. But overall, offense looked good. DK did leave the game with a MCL sprain. Um, he's only week to week, and most reports coming out of it right now have him leaning towards sitting next week. We'll see. Kind of hoping to get more news when when I do the preview on whether he's expected to play or not. But I would. It's kind of up in the air, 50-50 right now. Um, Onto the defense. I thought the defense played really good game. Um, Especially that second half. That second half was really, really good. Um, the run defense had issues in the first half, allowing a little over 100 yards. In the second half, they allowed like 30, and half of them were on one play. So when you can shut down the run in that second half, like they did, it does allow for some turnovers, and they got them. They got going into the game. They only had 4, I believe. Yeah, they had 4 turnovers going into the game. Ended up with 3 in this game, damn near doubling their total. Um, all of them were really important, really big. Julian Love had an interception pretty late, not like at the death, but pretty late. And then Kobe Bryant coming in for Rashawn Jenkins had an interception. That one really sealed the game, kind of ended it, which was really important. And then the big turnover was a little earlier. Was it right at the beginning of the fourth quarter? I believe it was right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Boye Mafe gets a strip sack on Kirk Cousins, and Derek Hall takes it to the house. Huge play, really needed it. That one definitely kind of helped seal it too. At that point, they were up by over 14 at that point. Yeah, it would have been 31-14 at that point. Kind of just sealed the deal, which was huge. huge win. When your defense is putting points on the board, that's what I like to see out of the defense. And that defensive line was playing great. Obviously, like I said, Derek Hall had a sack, or no, Boyd Moffitt had a sack that led to the Derek Hall touchdown. Leonard Williams ended up getting a sack, and there was one more, and I can't remember who got it now. It's unfortunate, but there was 3 sacks. Big game. A couple TFLs. Obviously the run defense was a little shaky in the first half, but they got that figured out in the second, which was huge. New addition Roy Robertson Harris looked really good in his debut. Had TFL, made some really good plays. I think he had 2 TFLs actually, but made some really good plays. Looks like a really good rotational guy. So pretty good trade there for the Seahawks based on what we're seeing. And then Byron Murphy was back on that defensive line. So this is the first time the defensive line has been fully healthy since the start of the year, and it showed. They were great. It's kind of funny, the correlation right now. When Murphy's in the game, the Seahawks are averaging 14 points against. When he's not, they're averaging 35 points against. Obviously, I don't think he's that much of a difference maker. I think it's more that the entire line's healthy. But still, it's kind of an interesting thing. Like,
Yeah.
When you have a fully healthy defensive line,
the impact it makes is crazy.
Especially considering the secondary was in absolute shambles.
Disarray.
I'll cover that real. Tyreek Woolen was out with a sprained ankle, so that's our starting corner. Trey Brown was out with an ankle. That's the other starting corner. And then Artie Burns was out also with that's a toe injury. He's I think on IR, but he was out, and that's our main backup at corner. So 2 of the 3 starting corners were out, and then the main backup was out, meaning we had Devin Witherspoon starting at outside, Nehemiah Pritchett starting, and Josh Jobe, a practice squad guy, got elevated and ended up starting. And I thought he played really well. Had 2 pass breakups, did get a PI call on him, but I mean, like, for a guy coming off the practice squad, for you to be pretty solid in coverage against a really high-flying Falcons pass game, like 2 pass breakups, you looked all right. The one PI call I can live with, whatever. And then Pritchett, I thought looked good for a rookie. Did allow the 1 touchdown to Drake London, but I mean, like, he was kind of put in a shitty situation there. But overall, thought the secondary played really well. And then Kobe Bryant coming in for Rashawn Jenkins, who's on IR, also played a pretty solid game. So all in all, pretty solid game from the secondary with all the injuries they had. Special teams wise, just pretty solid. Myers was perfect. Only kicked 2 field goals on the day. One was a 59-yarder, which is the longest field goal ever kicked in Atlanta Stadium.
It's really sad.
Yeah,
it's really sad.
That stat came up, and I was like, that can't be.
Here's the thing: it's kind of cool when the home team does it. When they're like, "Oh, hey, I did this thing for the first time for this team." That's great. When the opponent does it against you, that's a kick in the pants.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't know that was a thing, but that's cool. Dixon continues to be all right. There was no like kick or punt returns worth mentioning, which I like. Fumble it.
Didn't give anything up massive. That's all right. Let's keep it boring is always best.
I would rather you not fumble it than what we did against the 49ers, where we fumbled it and then scored a touchdown. Like, I'd rather that. I'd rather just even keel than the roller coaster. Offensive player of the game is easy. Kenneth Walker, 2 touchdowns. Had a really good game. Had his Michael Jordan flu game. Had the flu going, or flu-like symptoms going into the game. Kind of thought he wasn't going to play because this was a late addition to the injury report. Ends up playing, plays really well, gets 2 touchdowns. The second catch, the reception was a thing of beauty, kind of diving towards the end zone. Really good there. And then defensively, I could have pretty much picked anybody along the defensive line, but I took Derek Hall. You scored a touchdown. It's kind of hard to ignore that, but there's a lot of options on the defense. I thought Mafe played well, forcing the turnover. I thought Murphy, Harrison, or Harris played well. Williams played well. All around the defensive line, I thought played well, and then the 2 safeties with the interceptions, I could have picked them too. But again, Derek Hall with the touchdown, I thought was the right choice there.
Thank you.
But yeah, just a solid win. Really needed this one. Get us back in the win column, get us back going the right way.
Yeah.
So, all things looking up for Seattle.
I kind of watched this game. It was on Red Zone, and I was extremely distracted Sunday. It was just that kind of day. But it definitely looked the best it's looked in a couple weeks. I think having a healthy D line.
I think not
and I
playing
felt
3 times in 10 days also helped.
Yeah, definitely. You could just kind of see life back in the team. I felt like the last game against the 49ers, it just felt sluggish and slow, but like you said, 3 games in 11 days, that's too much. You could just see life in this team. You could see that they were energized, they were excited, and they were healthy at D line. So it definitely looked better. It looked good. I think it just goes to show you got to kind of stick with it, stick with McDonald's messaging. Sometimes things are going to happen. Teams are going to lose games. But definitely good to see y'all back in the win column.
Back in the win column and leading the division somehow.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. I'm happy for you, but
I don't know. The rest of the division ain't playing well, so
no,
take it where you can get it.
We can clearly.
Game of the week?
So, as y'all know, my game of the week was Cincinnati at Cleveland. My score was 21-14. Both of these teams are terrible. It was terrible. It was not a good game at all. And there was nothing good about it. Really, it was 14-14. Cincinnati's first touchdown came from a kickoff return. So my problem with that then is the score makes it look like Cincinnati's offense played well. They didn't. It wasn't good. So what I found, because you and I had this conversation Sunday, is what I find interesting and confusing is that Cincinnati's play is matching their opponents. They play the Baltimore Ravens. They put up 38 points. They play the Chiefs. They put up 30-plus points. They play the Patriots. They lose. They play Cleveland. Offensively, they put up 14 points. They did the same last week against... I don't remember who they played. But they basically got a final touchdown in garbage time when nobody's really trying. Everybody's tired. Like I said earlier, offenses put up points in the fourth quarter. It just tends to be how it goes. I'm confused by this team. I'm confused by ownership's decision-making. We're treating the team like they're in cap hell. They're not. The only person they're paying is Joe Burrow. So I don't understand why we sold the farm defensively when we're not paying anybody. So I'm just confused. I don't understand. They don't look good. I do think the like bitter part of my brain is enjoying the crap out of it. Um, but it's not. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Um, I do want to talk about Cleveland for a moment. Here's the thing. Whatever you may think or feel about Sean Watson, it is completely inappropriate and disrespectful to chant, "You deserve this," when a player gets seriously hurt. That is somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's loved one. There is no need for that. His career is more than likely over. However, you may feel about that is one thing. Keep it to yourself. Wasn't necessary. Um, Grown man is in extreme pain. He is crying and being carted off the field. Leave him alone. Just leave him alone. That being said, I do think Cleveland got better. Um, I'm a little confused on what the plan was quarterback wise. They made Jameis the emergency going into the game, with Dorian Thompson Robinson as their backup. I do think they kind of want him to be the future, but he hasn't taken enough reps, and last year they bailed out on him pretty early. So I'm not sure what the plan is. He got hurt during this game, went out, and we saw Jameis. I currently have no idea who will start next week, and that's a bummer because they play the Ravens. So I think both teams would really like to know. I think it'll be Jameis.
I think Robinson's going to be hurt long term based on the injury he had.
Do you
And
know what it was? Because I, for some reason,
it
don't seem to
was,
know.
I think he fractured his thumb or he did something to his throwing
Oh,
hand.
then yeah, definitely going to be out a minute.
Um,
Definitely going to be out a
so I
minute.
think he's out a while. And then the Browns signed Bailey Zappi off the Chiefs practice squad to back up Jameis Winston. Um,
Well,
so
choices.
yeah,
Not a lot of options available right now, so that's
hey,
fair. That's
I'd
okay.
I'd be willing to take a punt at Zappi right now. Younger quarterback has
And he
the
just had like half a year with Andy Reid.
yeah
So that's like
has the
taking a quarterback after they spend time with Shanahan or Kevin O'Connell. I'm willing to do that.
yeah like I
Um,
I respected it. Um, I think that'll be an interesting one for the Browns. Sorry to take this over,
yeah.
but I do think that's an interesting move for the Browns considering younger quarterback, chance to develop him. Um,
And Stefanski is a good offensive coach.
yeah,
I know we're not seeing that right now, but he is. You can only do so much with what you got this time. Um, that game also marked Nick Chubb's debut. After his mess of an injury last year that really just tore up his leg. It was good to see him back. He wasn't very productive. I do think he was on kind of a pitch count, just to kind of get him back into it, get his legs underneath him. The thing I found interesting, because you and I had talked about it, is Miles Garrett is having a really quiet season. Um, I think they got home to Burrow once, but he's just not putting up the numbers he usually is or the pressure packages he usually does. So it'll just be kind of interesting to see how his season develops. It was good to see Chubb back. Yes, I think the Browns got better. No, I don't think that was appropriate. Browns fans. This is why I don't like the Browns, just so we're clear. Doesn't help my opinion of y'all. That does, I think, do it. You know what? Mild thing. Mild thing. If Cincinnati misses the playoffs this year, does that change the conversation around Joe Burrow?
Um, I think it has to. How much will be dependent on why they miss the playoffs. Like right now,
Team looks like shit.
team looks like shit. Defense is playing really bad. Um, I don't know. I think
But I
it
mean,
has to
you
an
only gave
extent
up 14 points.
to the Browns, Dallas. To the Browns.
Who are not a good team, so why couldn't the offense put up more?
I'm I'm not saying this isn't true. I'm just throwing it out. Like I said, it has to change. I just don't know how much it's going to. Um, I do think it's dependent on how badly they miss the playoffs, and then why they miss the playoffs. Like what's truly to blame in a way. I do think though, yeah, it has to. The conversation has to change. Regardless, just
I
the
just
intensity to which the conversation changes, I think, will be determined by other factors.
when was the last time a great in their prime missed playoffs?
It would have been Roethlisberger.
And was that really his prime?
No, during his prime, I think they did end up missing a playoff one year.
But like,
No, I'm not talking like recent
yeah,
Roethlisberger. I'm just talking, I think, like a couple
and
years
that's
back.
we are
Um,
critical of those moments. Like, we are critical of quarterbacks and what they do in the playoffs. It's the entire conversation about Lamar. It's a stat we constantly bring up with Josh Allen. It's Joe Burrow's main claim to fame is we beat the Chiefs in an AFC championship game. But the greats and the elite quarterbacks almost never miss the playoffs in their prime. And I think we've put so much credit on the Super Bowl run, and we're not looking at what it's looked like since. So I'm not saying they're going to. There is still room. I do think it's going to be really hard this year, the way Pittsburgh and Baltimore are playing. And there's a chance we'll talk about Baltimore if we have time to, or not Baltimore. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh if we have time today. Um, but if they miss the playoffs, I agree. I think the conversation has to change at least a little bit.
100%.
All right, talk to us about Detroit at Minnesota.
Possibly the best game of
Hell
the
of a
week.
game. Hell of a game. That was
Um,
crazy.
you know, Detroit sneaks out a win, 31-29 in Minnesota. Huge game for Detroit. It was a quality game. Finally picked a good one, guys. Um, both quarterbacks playing really well. Goff had another great game. Darnold was a little shaky at times, but I thought still played pretty solid. So good games, both quarterbacks. Both offenses were doing well. Both defenses seem to be doing well at times. Um, I think it's really obvious right now. Detroit's the best in that division. Um,
I
until
think he's the best in that conference.
I was
Or
I
they're
was
the
about
best
to
in that conference.
about to get there, but yeah, I think Detroit best in division, best in conference. The NFC just has to go through the North this year, whether it's Detroit, Minnesota. The NFC North is the only division in football right now that still has all their teams above 500.
Yeah.
Um, all the way down to the Bears, who are 4-2. Take that as you will, but all four teams winning records, playing really good football. Um, I really thought this game was a really fun chess match going on of two kind of different styles of head coaching. Obviously, you have Dan Campbell, who we've praised a lot, and we have Kevin O'Connell, who we've also praised a lot. Um, and I kind of thought this was a battle for Coach of the Year in a way.
That's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
both both are pretty deserving of Coach of the Year. Um, I'd have a hard time not giving it to Dan Campbell at this point, though.
Yeah.
The way he has that team playing, the way they believe. If you just listen to their post game, like coach's speech, there's something different.
It's so much passion. It's
Like,
we talked about this last week that I think it takes a very specific type of person to create a winning culture, to ply a team out from the rubble and build the Parthenon. But that's what it looks like right now. And there's so much belief in that locker room and so much belief with him. And I have a lot of respect for the I don't give a damn. This is how we play football. Maybe it won't always work out, but this is who we are and this is what we'll do. And it's crazy. And the amount of disrespect he got and the amount of doubt he got, it's been insane. It's been fantastic to see.
and I don't want to like change the subject back to the Seahawks, but I do want Seahawks fans to kind of look at that and be like,
Yeah.
it was not good when he took over, but he's turned that team around. Have faith in McDonald. It'll be all right. But
It took Campbell a couple of years. His first year they were like
terrible.
2-15. Like it takes time to rebuild.
But yeah, I do that.
But now
Which
they're a team that can lose their best defensive player and just keep rolling.
in like the locker room, it's just the whole thing. That locker room's fully behind everybody. It's really good to see. Really happy for Detroit. And Minnesota shouldn't be ashamed, you know. Last
No,
second field goal to win, or not last second, but a late field goal is the reason you lost. Obviously, you'd kind of wish that last drive went a little bit better. Can't really end the game on a sack like that. Not a great way to end, but overall, you got to be proud with your performance. Um,
I think genuinely right now, like no matter who you're a fan of, if you're not excited by the Lions and you're not a little like little brother proud of the Vikings, you're not a football fan. You're a fan of a team and maybe you don't really know the rules, but you yell at the TV when they lose or whatever. That's fine. But when you are a genuine football fan, you are excited for the Lions right now. And there is a level of watching the Vikings, like, not to get cheesy, but dropping you off to college that first year. I was like, it's just little brother proud. And that's how I feel watching the Vikings right now. I'm like, you shouldn't be doing this. But it's been awesome to see. And so I'm just excited for both of these teams. If I didn't really need Lamar to win a Super Bowl, if I didn't need that in my soul, I would be rooting for the Lions. But I need Lamar to win a Super Bowl. I need it. He needs it. I need to stop hearing about the playoffs. I need it.
do you need it?
Yes. The Lions can go. You can win next year. Let's not let the Chiefs win anymore. I need it to be Lamar this year. I'm sorry.
As long as it's anybody but the Chiefs, I don't really care.
That's fair. I respect that. I do. Honestly, if it were not for the playoff conversation that surrounds Lamar, I wouldn't care. I need this narrative to change. I can't keep listening to it. He's playing so well, but he sucks in the playoffs. Like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I get it. I do. I can't keep listening to it. I can't. I need him to win one. I know he would love multiple. I would love for him to have multiple. I need him to win one. Burrow, I'm still hearing about the fact that he went. It's been years. He's been hurt. He's not playing well. I think if Lamar could just win one, it's going to buy him like 5 or 6 years. Like, before we're bringing it up again.
Honestly, it'll buy you more than that, considering we didn't
Like,
talk about Wilson for a
oh
long
my
time.
God, Wilson, Rodgers, all of it. Just don't go play for the Jets, all right? If you have to go play for the Jets, your career's over. Just be done. So, but yeah, I just am. I'm super excited for them. I think both teams look really great. Um, very smash mouth football from the Lions. The energy in that locker room is contagious. You can tell when a whole team is just genuinely bought into a message. And yeah, Minnesota, definitely nothing to be ashamed about. Like, playing with a backup quarterback that the entire league had written off, that the media is still writing off. And he's playing really well. Yes, he has interceptions. That's normal. That's okay. That's gonna happen. Um, I think Patrick Mahomes has more interceptions than touchdowns right now. That's okay. It
He
happens.
has more
He's
interceptions
still
than anybody in the league, actually.
like he's Darnold is still playing really well. Um, you know, it's one thing to throw interceptions, but rally a team. It's another to just throw interceptions because we don't know how to play football. Because there are teams like that right now.
Yeah.
Moving on to New York.
Hmm.
'Cause,
Oh,
like, rebounds, buddy.
no, I got it.
Oh, we're actually gonna kick over really quickly to the WNBA. New York Liberty beat out the Minnesota Lynx 67-62 for their first championship in franchise history. Congratulations to them. Currently, the best New York team in sports. Yes, the Yankees are in the playoffs. Congratulations to them.
World Series is the word you're looking
World
for.
Series, whatever. I do kind of think the Dodgers are going to win that. I might actually watch a baseball game. We will see what happens. Don't hold me to that, but I might. I'm gonna think about it. The MVP for the WNBA game. Hold on, I was gonna screw up this name. Jonquel Jones. Yes, I know some of you are going, who the hell is that? She is not the big name on their team, but both Brianna Stewart and
Sabrina Ionescu.
yeah, Anestu had really quiet games during the final, and Jonquel really had to kind of pick it up. She was the leading scorer for the game, so I do think it was deserved. Yes, I think there were some refereeing issues in that game, but at the end of the day, the New York did win. They were the best team all year. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to New York. I know it's been a while since anybody had a championship. So, so awesome there. We'll see if the Yankees can get it done, and we'll see what the Knicks do. Tip off's getting ready to start tonight, I believe.
I think there was a game on already. I think the
Cool.
Celtics and I believe the Knicks already played, actually.
I took a nap, so I have no idea.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
I'm
are.
tired.
As of recording, Boston is leading the New York Knicks 108 to 78, and we're not even done with the third quarter yet. So Knicks fans, buckle up.
So I know I just said, we'll see what the Knicks do. Looks like the Liberty are going to be the best New York team this year. So congratulations to them. And New York,
You still got
congratulations
hockey.
on your parade. Yeah. Well,
Well,
the
they have
Rangers are all right. They're not terrible, but
the Rangers are pretty good.
um,
They have a chance.
they have a chance. They have a chance. All right, Brendan. I know you really wanted to talk college football, so I'm just gonna let you cook. I'm
All
gonna let you
right.
cook. I'm here. I may ask questions. I may chime in, but
Well, we're gonna start with Heisman Watch because I find the Heisman Watch this year really, really fun. Um, there's one guy at the top of the list. I'll get to him last. Kind of go bottom of my ranking to the top. These are my rankings. These aren't odds. They are kind of gonna mirror the odds slightly. I'm an unoriginal bastard. Sue me. Um, I think I have a top five going. Yeah, top five.
I
Um,
see 5 names.
at five, I have Shadur Sanders. He's playing really well for Colorado right now. Quarterback. Been one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I would only put two or three names ahead of him. Um, just playing lights out, helping Colorado win games is part of the reason Colorado is winning games, if I'm being honest with you. So I think he deserves Heisman, but he's probably going to be lower down just the way some of these other guys are really elevating their game. Um, at number four, we have Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. Um, he's been one of the best quarterbacks. Has the most passing yards of anybody in the college football. Has the most quarterback rushing yards of anybody in college football, I believe, or at least in the Power Five conferences. So he's playing great football. Miami is undefeated so far. He's a big reason for that. Playing really solid. Number three, I have Dylan Gabriel, quarterback out of Oregon. Um, he's been probably the best quarterback so far. Oregon is 7-0. They're the number one team in the nation. It's kind of hard to argue with the number one team in the nation. The quarterback leading you to that point is always going to be kind of in that conversation. I think he's been playing really good, really solid football. Has been limiting turnovers. I don't actually have stats for me, but he doesn't have a ton of turnovers, doesn't have a ton of bad plays, just plays really solid football, has a little bit of rushing ability, but not a ton. He's just been playing really well. At number two, some people might see this as a hot take. If you actually watch college football, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Travis Hunter is easily the second best player in college football. Could be the best. I don't think he'll win Heisman this year. I'll get to who I think will. Um, but he's doing it on both sides. He's been playing lights out as a wide receiver, lights out as a corner. If he ever just decides to pick one, he will easily be one of the best players at that position, bar none. Um, he does, I think, have to pick one at some point. We kind of saw recently he did get hurt. He's fine. He's been playing still, but you can't play that number of snaps and expect longevity. Um, so I think for his sake, he really should pick one at this point, whether it's wide receiver, whether it's corner. You can't really go wrong. But I mean, he's doing it at a high level on both sides. It was very hard not picking him to be the Heisman. Multiple touchdowns, multiple interceptions, just playing all around great football. I'm trying to get his stats up real quick.
It's while you do that, it's just been impressive to see because I think sometimes we forget that there were really big names that were two-way players in college,
Mm-hmm.
but nowhere near this level.
Yeah,
Deion Sanders was nowhere near this level. Champ Bailey was a two-way player, nowhere near this level.
like
Um,
offensively, he has over 600 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. Defensively, he has 2 interceptions. That's unheard of, really.
I
Um,
think there is no one that would enter the NFL with an argument for better hands.
oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like we talk about wide receivers all the time and what they can do, and I know that like Odell was overwhelmingly praised for that, and but that man's ability, it's like he's got duct tape on his hands. It's crazy.
that's
He
one point
doesn't drop a whole ton.
of I don't know which is better for him to play because there's not a ton of corners ever that have the ball skills he does, but he's also such an
And
explosive wide receiving threat.
it's interesting because when we talk corners, it's designed that way. They're always just kind of a step behind wide receivers. Um, so to have I think it'd be interesting to see him play wide receiver because your elite corners often just switch to wide receiver. Um, that tends to be where the money is. That tends to
And
be
your
it's easier to get a little famous that way.
lesser
Um,
receivers tend to swap to corner. Um,
yeah,
I think it'd be better for him to play corner in the NFL, and my reason behind it is if you play corner in the NFL, um, with the right coach, you'll still be put in offensive situations at times. It just won't
yeah,
be a constant thing that happens.
thing.
Um,
Because I don't. I mean, Dion still switched in the NFL. Champ still in his early days, still switched in the NFL. They just didn't do it at this rate.
so I think that's kind of what we're looking at with him. Trick plays type thing, just certain packages.
Yeah.
But it'll be fascinating to see. And then number one on my list, um, I think is easily Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State. Um, I don't have the actual thing in front of me, but at one point, Ashton Genty had more rushing yards after contact than anybody else did, period, in his conference, which is not a great conference. That is true. But that's still a stat that is wildly difficult to do.
Mhm.
And then for reference, right now, he has 1,200 rushing yards on 126 attempts with 17 touchdowns. He's averaging
Crazy.
almost 10 yards a carry. And
That's
that is a
crazy.
season. That's not a
Yeah.
game. That's a season. That's unheard of. He's on pace to break Barry Sanders' records. He's on pace for the best rushing season probably ever in college football. It's very hard for me to sit there and go, he's not the Heisman when you're about to do things that have been never done or have been done by one person, and that one person's Barry Sanders.
Who is probably one of the best running backs of all time.
And like, I can't sit here and be like, you're 9.9 yards per carry. You are your team's offense.
Yeah.
17 touchdowns. That is more than some teams have total. Like,
More than some teams in the NFL. No, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I can't even comprehend. And for reference, by the way, in 16 games last year, he had 1,300 rushing yards. He's at 1,200 right now. We still have half a season to play.
Yeah.
We're in week.
Crazy.
Boise State is 6-1, I believe. 5-1. They've played 6 games of
1,200 yards.
probably 12.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's wild. Their one loss is to Oregon, the best team in the nation.
Yeah.
It's he's been on an absolute monstrous run this year. It's been fantastic, and he's easily my Heisman pick. Um, I think the stats
I
just
know.
say it all.
Yeah. I know you have two other things you want to get to in college football.
Yeah,
But you, right now, with your breadth of knowledge, take each one of those players and put them on an NFL team. Where should they all go?
pains for me to say this. Okay, I'm gonna start from the bottom. Shadur Sanders, I think, would be really good on the Rams. I think the Rams would be
Okay.
a fun one. Um, Backup uh, Stafford for another year, take over. That would be really, really good. Cam Ward, I would probably put him on New York. The
The Jets or
Giants.
the Giants? Okay.
Giants. New York Giants. I could also see him possibly being on the Raiders. Um, Kind of just depends on the pick. Gabriel. Gabriel probably won't get drafted that high. Um, needing a quarterback. He to me is like a Raiders, Giants. Who else? Who else needs a quarterback that isn't picking high?
Saints, Jets.
Ooh, Saints is not a bad one. Jets, not a bad one.
Carolina's probably repicking.
Carolina, I'm thinking of somebody else for them. Carolina's probably in on Cam Ward, possibly Shador, possibly Milrow, even though Milrow's struggling. I don't know. Don't get Real's a hard one. Travis Hunter. Pick a team that needs a receiver or a corner. I think underratedly, the Broncos.
Okay.
Be their
I
number
like
one.
that.
Be their number one receiver.
Go from Champ Bailey to Travis Hunter.
See, he's talked about wanting to stay in Denver.
I believe that, and I think for no other reason, I think he'd ask Champ for his number, and I think Champ would give it up.
Probably. What number? He wears 12 right now.
Oh, okay.
What was Champ
So maybe
in
not.
Denver? 21?
Yeah. That's not bad. I like that. You stick with 12. I like that.
I think the easy answer for Ashton Genty is Dallas. I hate doing it.
Yeah.
But the easy answer is Dallas. They need a running back, and he's easily the best one available.
I have never been an advocate. The Ravens trade down. That's who they are. That's what they do. I could see them making a push for Travis Hunter and seeing what it would take to get high enough to make a phone. I'm not saying they do it.
That would be.
But I see that phone call being made.
I don't hate it. I think the Ravens would be in on a different receiver that isn't on here.
Honestly, I don't think they want him at receiver.
Probably not. But I will say there's a couple guys out there that I think would complement Flowers really well. That are
I just do.
6'5".
I think they make the phone call. I think they ask the price point.
I don't disagree. I think a lot of teams are going to be making phone calls for him, if we're being honest. He's just.
And I do think it's going to come down to kind of how the draft layout happens. Like right now, I think if the Patriots were picking early, rather than trade down, they'll pick up Travis Hunter. Because you don't need a quarterback that early with Drake May. You take Travis.
Yeah, there's a lot there. This is kind of something that's just gonna have to be something that happens.
Yeah, obviously it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a minute.
Once
it's October.
Yeah, once we get closer to the draft, I'll start really.
Draft is in April.
Yeah.
I think we should do like a live reaction to the first round.
I think we should do a mock draft too.
We could do that.
I think we should do a couple things.
Just for round one. Just for round one.
Oh yeah.
Jesus God. Yeah, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. Obviously, it's way too early. I think to be really talking draft. But just at this point in the season, how these guys are playing, I think it's a fun thought experiment.
No, yeah. And then obviously there are teams that have needs and
Yeah, clearly.
That can be.
Some teams should just sell themselves. Honestly, that's just what I would recommend for a couple.
I think some of them are.
Jesus God. You can't. At some point you just have to burn it down. You know what I mean? You can't fix some things.
Jets.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys. Let God do something. Maybe I'll sell it, but fuck, guys, hire a GM and just go away. Go live on your yacht. Why Why is a billionaire can't you just be happy? Fucking hell.
Um,
Oh my god, did you see his press conference? We'll talk about it later. Let's finish college football. We still have time. We're gonna talk about it. This is crazy.
uh, quickly, just talked about the Heisman watch. Talk AP top 10. Um, AP is just the placement organization that does it. Normally they do top 25. I'm not reading 25 names. We'll do top 10, and then I'll throw a couple shout outs. At 10 we have Iowa State. Interesting. They won't be there long. Um, they might. Who knows? Clemson, pretty common. They're playing pretty well this year. LSU, pretty good. Pretty solid. Has a good quarterback right now. All the things you need. Tennessee just beat Alabama. They're playing really well. Kind of a team to look for as a top team going in. Miami at 6 is kind of low for me. I haven't really beaten anybody, which is kind of why. Part of the rankings is strength of wins.
Yeah.
Miami just doesn't have that, even though they're undefeated. Texas,
They're playing with hell of an energy though.
yeah, Texas just got
It's electric.
wiped by Georgia. They were at first going into the week, and then Georgia ruined them. Huge upset. So Texas falls all the way to 5. They should be fine. They have viewers, pretty solid team all around. They should be all right. Ohio State is at 4. This is another one I don't really agree with, but whatever. I don't think they really have the wins to be this high. But Ohio State's always ranked highly.
I
Which is kind of one of those things you got to live with. Penn State is at 3, 6-0, playing really good. Don't really have the strength of wins, but are just playing solid football. Kind of hard to deny them when their wins have all been pretty good. Georgia at 2 have 1 loss in the season. It was to Alabama. Just beat down on Texas. Playing great, easily up there. And then Oregon, number 1 in the nation, have the strength of wins. Beat Ohio State. Have beat some other good teams. They're really just that top team right now in the nation. So good for Oregon. Not really up there a whole ton, but top. I believe it's top. So the way the playoffs work now, 12 teams go. The top 4 conference winners automatically get a bye, and then the next 8 participate. It's kind of why I did top 10. But there will be teams outside the top 10 that end up making it. We'll kind of see who that is as the year goes on. So kind of teams to keep an eye on right now is BYU, 7-0, playing really good. Indiana, 7-0, playing really, really good football. Kind of an interesting one there. Not really known for their football. Huge shout out to Army and Navy. Both of them are ranked in the top 25 for the first time in like 50 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Both of them are playing high level football.
Because I know, like those are always really good games, especially when they play each other.
Yeah,
But that's like,
but they're never like
that's
good.
not what those schools are known for, and
No.
that's that makes sense. Uh, but so for them to be ranked as well as they are is, I mean, that's great to see.
Yeah, undefeated. Both of them are ranked. This is the first time in a while that both of them have been ranked. Huge there. And then Alabama at 15. They've had 2 bad losses in quick succession. You lose to Vanderbilt. You can't lose to Vanderbilt if you're Alabama. And then they just lost to Tennessee. That's another one. You can't lose 2 games in quick succession. Not a great start to the Kalen DeBoer era.
Yeah,
Especially after Saban's gone. So Alabama's like the only one that I'm like, you got some problems that you got to figure out. But obviously, good for them. Good for all the teams that are up there. Obviously, Army, Navy, Alabama's got to figure it out. It's only halfway through the season, so there is still shuffling to be done, and a lot of it.
Yeah.
So
Still a lot of football to be played.
yeah,
So, you know,
and
um,
college football's one loss, and you could be booted. It
yeah.
doesn't take a lot. But that does it for my college football. That's really
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you got the chance to talk about it today. I know you were bummed last week
kind
when
of
we didn't get.
kind of glad because
Uh,
we did have some things change up on me coming out last
yeah.
week with Georgia beating Texas the way they did, and then Alabama having their second loss.
I guess. So yeah, it's I have been getting more into it. I've been keeping up on the news. I've watched a few games. It's not something. The last couple of weeks, Saturdays have been pretty well occupied by life, so I've just tried to stay up on it and just be aware of what's going on and watch it when I can. It's been good though. There have been, you and I have talked. There are rules or situations across college and UFL uh, that I like better, that I think the NFL would benefit from. But I think the thing I'm really liking the most is as closely as I'm paying attention to the NFL, which is definitely closer than ever because of this, is seeing the guys that will be entering the league and what they're doing and what kind of your top guys are producing and at what level. Um,
I mean, I watch college football for the prospects.
yeah,
Like obviously, I love college football anyway. I think the games are wildly fun. I've actually been to one this year at the college I'm going to. We are not ranked for anyone wondering. That doesn't narrow it down like at all for you, but if you figure it
um,
out, you figure it out. But yeah, we're an unranked team currently. Um,
who did you watch your team play?
I went to see them play Colorado State.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I watched the Colorado State versus my team. Um, we did win, so that gives you another hint. Um, really fun game.
Guess it in the comments. For the love of
Yeah,
God, somebody talk to us.
yeah. If you can guess what college I go to, fair enough.
We'll give you a shout out. We'll give you a shout out. No, that's great. Yeah, I've been trying to get more into it. There isn't. I think it would be easier if I could go to a game more easily. If I lived a little closer to you, and I could be like, "Oh, I'll go with you." There's no college football team near me. They're like 2.5 hours away. It's not. So
Yeah,
I just, it's about what I get on Saturdays, and I already get yelled at for monopolizing the TV with sports anyway. And college football just prompts an even larger argument that I don't want to deal with. So, um,
it's not worth it.
I
Love
tried
it.
turning on
Not worth it.
hockey or basketball the other day and was like, "Are you kidding me?" So I was like, "Never mind." I was like, "You're not paying attention," and that didn't seem to matter. Uh, so yeah, but it's been good. Keep us updated, and yeah, we'll keep an eye on those prospects and on these teams. And yeah, shout out to Army Navy. Shout out to some of those guys. I think it's going well. I think we kind of talked about this in the NFL. I think we're seeing like this peak of athleticism right now, and you're seeing incredible players doing incredible things across all sports and across all phases of these sports. Um, and I do think our conversation on hockey may increase now. The first couple of games were kind of heart wrenching. So
Yeah,
that was kind of emotional, and that was kind of hard to. I want to make it clear we weren't trying to diminish anything. It was heart wrenching. It was hard to see. I'm glad that they had those moments. I'm sad that they had to, obviously, but I think we will talk hockey a little bit more now, but this one just kind of hit Brendan and I really hard.
Hockey's also just one of those sports. Like, it's such a long season that it's kind of hard
So
to,
like things do come up, um,
as they do.
but yeah,
We'll
I
talk, but
just um,
um, hockey's one. It doesn't take the forefront for us right now.
yeah,
Um,
um,
Same with basketball.
yeah. Except I saw this. Brendan had to step away for a minute. You won't really see it in the edited version. The Celtics matched the record for number of threes in a single season game. They are one away from breaking it. We'll see if they do that. I don't know if we'll know that by the end of this podcast. But I think the Celtics are trying to be the first team in a while that goes back to back. They're here to stay. Pretty
Denver
crazy.
Nuggets still own them.
Um,
Beat them twice last year.
yeah, well, you have to make it past the second round of the playoffs. So,
Well, you know, I enjoy how people say that, but it was one bad
no,
stretch.
I don't disagree with you at all. I do think it's interesting, like to be doing something historic on your opening night, your banner
Oh no,
raising
I'm not
night
saying, but like it's
is
just
definitely
funny.
impressive. But I think they're trying. They're making a push for it. I
Yeah.
hope that they have to run into the Nuggets this year. I'm hoping that they'll have a better postseason than they had last year.
Well, we'll see. It'll be an interesting Nuggets year.
Yep.
Lots of
All right.
change.
Well, let's kick it back to the NFL for a little bit. Have a couple conversations. What is the number one thing that stood out to you this week? Positive and negative. Would you like me to
Yeah.
go? Okay. Um, the two I want to talk about: Commanders and Panthers.
Okay.
This was crazy. This is both the most surprising, I think, positive and negative the whole week. Um, just to be clear, Jaden Daniels, who I have on my fantasy league, by the way, my fantasy league's killing quarterbacks. It's not being great. Um, went out in the first quarter. I think they had 7 points on the board at the time that he went out with a rib injury. It was not great. They proceeded to win 40-7 with Marcus Mariota. Now, here's the thing. Marcus Mariota is talented. But much like I've talked about my concerns with Anthony Richardson and Justin Fields, and I'm going to put Bryce Young in this category, is potential was always Mariota's ceiling. There's talent. There's never been the mechanicals. And there's never been great decision making, but there's clearly potential. The Panthers made Marcus Mariota look like he should have been a number one draft pick coming out of college and should be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. It was fucking crazy. It was crazy. I don't know where that defense was. I don't think they were on the field. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It was train wreck. When the Panthers switched from Young to Dalton, we thought, okay, it's not great, but there's life. This franchise is effed. It's not even crazy. I know at the very beginning of the season, I did tiers. When the Ravens have their bye week, I'm going to redo them based off how the season's gone. They are staying in their category at F to all hell. It's not even close. Not even funny. I don't even know how you fix this. I think Dave Canales is a good coach. I think they have so many problems, but this was insane. The Commanders are playing well. I'm not trying to discredit that. The Ravens put up 40 points too, but their competitor put up 31. Because, like I said, in the fourth quarter, defenses are tired. Like, you should come back in the fourth quarter a little bit. Like, you shouldn't get blown out like that. So that's insane.
It was
Um,
terrible.
the other conversation I want to have Or go. Talk to me about Panthers Commanders. What'd you think? What'd you feel?
Fucking terrible game.
It's a train wreck.
I have very little thoughts about it, other than the Panthers are seriously just the worst team in the league. Um, you know,
And I feel like this is my final thought. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm sorry. When you win like that, like it's hard to be excited about that. Like it's not like there are good wins. Like if you beat out a good team. Okay, last year, the Ravens versus Lions or the Ravens versus the 49ers. You did that to a good team. When you just roll a terrible team, it's kind of like this is a thing we did.
yeah, I have very little feelings on this one.
That's fair.
Panthers suck. The Commanders played, or Mariota played really well. Yeah, that one is just like a.
That's fair. Um, let's see if you have a little bit more to say on the next one.
I probably will.
Jets Steelers. You and I were both critical of the decision to switch to Russell Wilson. Like I get it. You want to see what you have, but it's weird to move off a quarterback with a winning record.
Winning record, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yeah.
Just an inch or 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers.
So it was an interesting decision. And then Russell Wilson went out there and played well. Had a great game. It's the most points put up by the offense all year.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I am hesitant to be excited about it. The Jets are terrible. And the defense has clearly gotten worse since Saleh was fired. Clearly. It's not even close. It's not like maybe they took a little step back. They look like the Bucs did at the end of the Monday Night Football game. Just defeated. They look like they've had the crap beat out of them. They just have no gas. So yes, Russell played well. Did Russell play well because that's who he still is, or because the Jets are terrible? I am not sure. And then, shocker, Davante Adams could not single-handedly save the Jets.
His best play, Dallas, was a tackle.
Was the tackle. And here's the thing. I love Davante. I do have him still as a top 5 wide receiver to me in the league. That's who he is. He is clearly still dealing with the hamstring. But the Jets are not good. The O-line is not good. The quarterback, I'm pretty confident, is washed. Pretty confident on that one. They had a better record last year with Zach Wilson. They had more points on the board last year with Zach Wilson. Okay? Now, whatever you may think about Zach Wilson as quarterback, it was not good in New York. So the fact that Aaron Rodgers, a first ballot walk-in Hall of Fame quarterback, cannot do better than the guy that is currently the third stringer in Denver. You keep throwing pieces at it, it's not going to help. You can have all the superstars you like. At some point, they have to be a team. When you get to the podium, because he saw this his last year in Green Bay, when you get on the podium and you throw guys under the bus, amazingly enough, you do not create a culture. You do not create a team dynamic. You create me versus you. And no sports franchise in the world succeeds that way. Not one. Not one. Tom Brady did not get up there and blame his wide receivers. Patrick Mahomes, who probably had an argument for it last year, does not get up and blame his wide receivers. That's how it works. So, like, it doesn't. Okay. So it doesn't work that way. You do not create anything positive out of that. I sincerely doubt Ronaldo or Messi ever got up there and went, well, if my fucking goalie stops, you know what I mean? Like, that's not how winners and leaders win and help a team. So, and we saw this as last year in Green Bay. We saw this. We see it now.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's never been good. We saw it while he was chirping during the year he was rehabbing. Like, shut up. You're not a good leader. You're not a good quarterback. And the Jets are fucked. And I don't know why everyone wants to try and convince me that the Jets are a good team. That they're just one piece away. That they're right there. They're not. They're not. Why do you think this? Like, point something to me. Don't talk to me about Aaron Rodgers. It's not going well. Don't talk to me about Devontae Adams. He's a great wide receiver. I believe that. You still need someone to throw him the ball. The defense has gotten worse. The O-line is mediocre at best.
It's not good. The Jets are not good. And I feel very vindicated.
Yeah. Oh my God. I felt like we were being gaslit.
But, they're not good. I'm glad. I'm just done with... I'm done having to listen to New York media telling me the Jets are good. They're not. He's not. That defense is not. They're getting worse. Solid might have actually not been the problem, guys. Wow. Shocker. It's a miracle. Wow. But, it's...
I just don't. I don't understand what anybody is seeing. Like, you and I are not experts, right?
I don't see...
But I don't see a single redeemable quality. Talent is not enough. We talked about this last week. Talent is not enough. Anthony Richardson has talent. Justin Fields has talent. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not going to make you a Hall of Fame quarterback. You have to have pieces. You have to be a team. As a quarterback, you have to be a leader.
Yeah.
It's not like in soccer or in hockey where the leader could kind of be anybody. In football, the quarterback has to be a leader, at least for the offense. Maybe you're not a whole team leader. Like, maybe you're not Tom Brady. Maybe you're not Lamar Jackson. They are whole team leaders. But you have to at least lead your side of the ball. Russell Wilson, for all of his faults and all of his weirdness, was an offensive leader.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't a whole team leader, but he and Marshawn led that offense. Like, Joe Flacco was an offensive leader. Ray Lewis was a team leader. But Joe Flacco led the offense. I don't know what we're seeing. I don't know. I think the Jets are genuinely a dumpster fire. It's insane. I just don't. I don't know what anybody's seeing that they're still buying in.
I don't know.
Like, you're 2-5. It's not good.
None of it's looked good either.
No. It's not like there's been moments of you're like, okay, that's what they could be. They just need consistency. They just need sustainability. It's been terrible.
Because I even feel like in the 2 wins they've had, they haven't looked good doing it. I can't even remember who they beat. I'm going to be honest with you.
They beat the Titans.
Okay.
Because Will Levis threw another, here's the ball, take it. Like they didn't beat the Titans. The Titans beat them themselves.
Who else did they beat?
They beat... Who else did they beat? They played Denver, which they lost to. They played the Bills, which they lost to. They played the Steelers, which they lost to.
Yeah, thank you, Dallas.
I know. I'm trying to kind of go through the schedule.
They have beat
the Raiders?
Patriots.
No, Patriots. Okay, so does that even count?
So you've won a Will Levis giving you the ball, and the Patriots, who have beat one team
are probably the second worst team in right now.
Yeah.
I do say second worst. They at least have a quarterback.
Yeah, they at least try.
They try. They try really hard. Um,
I cannot say what the Panthers did as trying.
no. And
Um,
they're another team. I do not see a single redeemable quality. There's not anything about that team that I'm like, okay, that. Drake May is playing well. Drake May is giving it his all with a terrible O line and a very depleted O line.
and terrible receiving core. So I can say
There's
that
potential. Panthers are just,
Panthers and
I
Jets
don't know.
suck.
I mean, at least the Panthers don't have any talent, right?
Yeah, the Panthers aren't meant to be good.
Like they shouldn't. On paper, it's not a good team. The Jets, on paper, have the second best roster.
On paper, I no.
That's all I'm saying. On paper.
On paper, I'd still say they're like third or fourth best, but like you're
Okay,
still
but you're top 5.
on paper. Yeah, it's
Dumpster fire in real life. It's crazy. It's crazy.
but
It's crazy. And then, did you have anything you wanted to discuss? Because I
yeah.
had one more thing,
Actually had one.
but it's kind of off. Talk
The
to me.
one I want to is easily the Chiefs and 49ers.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Possibly the single worst football game I've ever watched in my life, in a way. Mahomes and Purdy made it their life goal to just keep giving them the ball.
Yeah, it was. I said this to you. I thought there was too much red on the field because clearly the quarterbacks didn't know who they played for.
Like, Purdy had a terrible game. Mahomes didn't even have a good game, but won. I will say, whoever on the 49ers that got trucked by him needs to rethink their life choices. Because you got trucked by Patrick Mahomes. Rethink your life there, buddy. Rethink your life.
I will give Mahomes credit. He does not like being disrespected.
No.
Because that's the guy that throat punched him. So he was like, all right, this is how we're going to do it. Me and my dad bought are about to fuck you up.
Yeah, because he fucked him up. It was funny.
He does not like being disrespected.
But Purdy, 3 interceptions. Mahomes, I think, threw 2. Mahomes leads the league in interceptions this year, which is wild, and they're 6-0, which terrifies me. Because Mahomes
Love it.
sucks right
I don't
now.
love it.
Mahomes is not playing good, and they are still winning football games. The
But
49ers are another dumpster fire, and we're
Oh my
starting to
God.
see that team implode.
And the injuries are just mounting.
Yeah.
Debo has pneumonia.
Ayuk.
God knows when McCaffrey will be back. Ayuk's out for the year. It's just Kittle has a sprained foot.
Kittle's
They keep rotating out
hurt.
Trent Williams.
It's not going well. But yeah, this one really it was just the quarterbacks play in this one. And then the fact that the Chiefs are still 6-0 with Mahomes playing probably his worst football.
Infuriating thing. It's the most infuriating thing.
You know.
Because that is the thing the Chiefs do well. Is win. They stay calm. They stay composed. Andy Reid is a great play caller. And they just win. And right now, for everybody out there that wants to call the Ravens the best offensive team in the NFL, the Chiefs still scare me. I think if the Chiefs were not a thing, the Ravens, as it sits right now, are a walk into the Super Bowl. Yeah. But the Chiefs scare me. The Chiefs scare me.
It's kind of crazy. But yeah, he's playing his worst football of his career.
It's terrible. Terrible.
And they're still fine.
Yeah.
And his entire team's hurt. Pacheco's out. Rice is out.
And they're just like,
fine. It's fine.
49ers have just as many injuries, and it's lit the house on fire. It's not good.
Yeah. You know, I guess that's the difference.
That's the difference. That's the difference between, I think, Reed and Shanahan and Mahomes and Purdy. And I've been a big advocate of Purdy, and I do think he is still a good quarterback. I think something mental kind of happens when you play the Chiefs. You want it to be fantastical. And what you have to do is realize if we stay calm and we just play consistent football,
we have a chance.
Probably could have won that game. But quarterbacks get in their head about it. Coaches get in their head about it. And it turns into that. So it's a bad loss. Bad loss for them. Did not look good at all.
Yeah.
The only unit that played well was the Ravens. Or, no, sorry, the Chiefs defense was the only thing that I think really. Because, the 49ers got turnovers, but
you still lost.
So, I did, because we briefly talked about it, I did want to talk about the Bills. Amari had his first game. I was really impressed with Amari Cooper. To show up at a team 4 days before the game, learn the offense as well as you can, and then go out there and play well, have a touchdown on a drive that you didn't, or a play that you didn't know what you were supposed to do. You had to ask
a rookie.
There's receiver next to you. And a lot of respect for the rookie. He was asked about it at the podium, and he was like, "No, I didn't have to tell him the play call." And they were like, "Well, it looked like you were talking to him," and he's like, "Well, that's normal. That's called football. We're allowed to do that." And I was like, "We all know exactly what happened." But I have a lot of respect. I thought it was great. I really do think Amari is kind of the perfect guy for this team.
100%.
No, though, I was not impressed with the Bills. You won a game you were supposed to win. The Titans are not good. Playing with Mason Rudolph. I was impressed with Amari. The Bills still have to do way more. We talked about this. It's still... Josh Allen still doesn't look like Josh Allen. He has a lot of yards, but there are a lot of short air yard passes going for big chunk plays.
But hey, man,
they're winning. They're winning.
They're winning.
All credit for it.
And he has not turned the ball over on an interception
No, and
yet.
Absolutely impressive, and I do give him credit for that. I'm just not willing to sit here and go, the Bills are back on top.
No.
They beat the Titans. Let's calm down.
We'll get more to the Bills later.
Yeah. The thing I wanted to discuss. I feel like the rate of coaches and owners calling out their teams has wildly increased. Gerard Mayo of the Patriots came out and called the team soft and basically trashed his team. And then came back and went, "Well, I didn't really mean that they're soft. They're just not playing great right now." I'm like, you can't walk it back. You said it. It's out there. I don't necessarily disagree with the statement.
He said it. And I think the reason he's walking it back is Belichick.
It's because Bill Belichick. Yep.
Responded.
Was like, I don't really know. I'm critical, but maybe don't say that.
And he was like, they weren't soft when they were playing for me, so.
Yeah. And it's basically the same defense, by the way. It's the same basic personnel. Only difference is
no Judon.
Gerard Mayo's calling it.
And no Judon.
Yeah. Who
is not playing well for the Falcons.
Yeah. So. And he wasn't playing phenomenally for the Patriots the last couple of years. Played well, but not elite. Not kind of the Judon we expect to see.
Yeah. So
the second one was Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. Because Troy Aikman came out this week and said the receivers look lazy. CD looks like he does not care about his route unless he knows he's getting the ball. Multiple people have been critical of that. Michael Irvin was critical. Troy Aikman was critical. Problem with that is For the most part, a football play has a designated ball catcher. However, a quarterback goes through his entire read progression
Yeah.
because sometimes guys aren't open. So if you aren't supposed to get the ball this play and then you don't run your route hard, but nobody else is open, guess what? Now there's no one to throw the ball to.
Now you're guaranteed to not get the
Now
ball.
we get destroyed at home again. So Troy Aikman made his comment. Mike McCarthy came out and went, well, I don't care what you have to say. You're not relevant. Jerry Jones came out and said, well, Troy Aikman's a really credible source. And you know he's not just trying to trash the Cowboys. He's a professional and he does a good job. So your head coach is having a pissing match with your former quarterback in the media, and you took not your head coach's side. I don't disagree with the statement. There are things we don't need to say in public, to the public. It's okay to have a private conversation, and I feel like that's not the name of the game this year. Doug Peterson trashed his team 2 weeks ago. Like, what is happening?
I don't know, but whatever is going on, it's crazy.
Like Antonio Pierce is out here going, guys are making business decisions. Like Andy Reid would never be like, well, the team played soft.
I'll give Shanahan credit. Like,
And
don't get me
Alex
wrong.
Smith can fuck off.
I'll give Shanahan credit because he did lecture the shit out of Purdy after the game, but then did not say a shit on the podium.
Yeah. And then when the media asked him about it, he's like, we're just chatting. We talk. That's normal. That's appropriate. John Harbaugh would never, has not gone up there and been like, the defense is fucking soft. He's like, Zach Orr's getting his feet under him. He's like, yeah, there are things that we need to work on. It's okay. They're going to get there. I build them up. It was funny. 2 weeks ago, when Kohler had the reception, Harbaugh came over to him and he goes, did you not want to score? Did you not? Kohler was like, no, I did. He pushed me out. And Harbaugh's like, I'm pretty sure I could have scored on that play. And he's like, I think you could have too. But there was support. There was love. There was genuine coaching. He didn't get up on the podium. And yes, a player was mic'd up next to him. Wired picked up the interaction. But he didn't get up on the podium and go, well, Kohler's trash. Fat white guy can't do shit. Like, that's... Jim Harbaugh would not get up there after their loss to the Cardinals last night. Did not get up there and go, well, Herbert's crap. Best part of my offense is a running back with a injury problem.
Herbert didn't even play bad yesterday. That was a sad reality.
No, but like, I feel like the blueprint for successful teams and winning culture is out there. You know what I mean? And it's free information. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, you look at teams that have won in the past, 20 years.
And we're just like, and fuck it. We're going to do it our own way because we know better. Have no Super Bowls or won in 30. And then we're shocked.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. Like, what I just don't understand. I just don't understand what's happening in the media right now. Like, I feel like we're like, oh, there's social media, so I can say whatever the fuck I want. And just put it out there. You're going to find out anyway. They won't. It's okay. The media only knows what you tell them. It's kind of how it works. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's
crazy. Mike McCarthy is not getting a new contract, by the way.
No, he's
It's not happening.
Finally,
There's no way.
Finally.
Why?
She probably should have been fired a couple of years ago. For being perfectly honest
Probably.
with each other.
I get being seduced by 12-5. I get it. But it's not good enough. And I genuinely think Jerry Jones needs to give up the general manager spot.
Probably. Won't
And
happen, but probably.
I think a couple of you just need to sell the team. I just think just start over. Just start over. There are two of you that I'm like just move on. Just it's not going well. And I don't think you have any concept. Like it's not good.
No.
Final thing. Alvin Kamara signed a 2-year extension. Which is interesting because everyone thought they saw him tell Sean Payton to come trade for him after the Broncos game. He didn't. As the Saints, I would have traded him. He is a great player. He is phenomenal. A team has so many problems. Like, I would just be selling stock and trying to rebuild, honestly. Get out of your cap problems. Just rebuild. So I was a little surprised he got an extension. I do kind of think this is one of those moves that makes me think you're a bad organization. Because he had a year left. Someone thought he told Sean Payton to trade for him, so you tried to flex. To be like, no, he's still ours. I just don't think we have our priorities in line. So
Who knows?
back to I'm not quite sure we know how to play winning football.
No, probably.
Or even successful football. Okay, not everybody's winning championships. Okay, it's been 12 years for the Ravens, but it's a successful franchise. It's been a really long time for the Packers. It's a successful franchise. The Lions have become a successful franchise. I don't think the Vikings have a Super Bowl, or it's been a very long time.
They don't.
Successful franchise.
Yeah, so.
I'm just saying. But y'all do you. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't think Devontae Adams would fix the Jets.
So.
It's just been crazy. It's just been crazy. And I've never seen so many coaches and owners get on the podium and say so much stupid shit.
No. It's stupid, but sure. Do it.
All right, Brendan. Final thoughts for the week. Anything else? Anything?
No.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like this year we talked about this. There are more teams up at the top.
Yeah.
But the ones at the bottom are so far beneath it's not even funny. Like there's no real middle of the pack right now. There's great and shit show.
I wonder if as the season gets to like the end, if that'll like
if we'll see that
turn
adjust
to the mean.
Yeah.
I think it will.
I would think you have to. But
what do we know?
Yeah, like it's been a weird year.
Yeah. At one point we thought the Saints were the best team in the league, so
Yeah. We were mildly fooled. I admit that. It was an impressive offensive feat. I think Clint Kubiak gets some credit. I just think this team is not built for it. All right, well then let's look ahead to next week, week 8 of the NFL. Brendan, you want to take us through what the Seahawks are doing and your game of the week, and then I'm gonna explain my personal decisions that I regret.
Game of the week, or the Seahawks game, I guess. They played Buffalo in Seattle, 1 p.m. This will be a really good game, I think. This is another big test for Seattle. Buffalo's been on a hot streak. Allen isn't really turning the ball over a whole ton. So you got to find a way to force one. You got to find a way. Uh, I think I think that's my like key to the game. In the turnover battle. I think if you win that, you win the football game. If you can limit Allen, limit the Bills offense, hopefully all go well. Um, Possibility of being without DK is definitely a little nerve wracking, but um, we'll see when that comes of it. Obviously, I'll talk more about all that come our preview. Um, but key to the game is I think really turnover battle, and then um, I think that's on both sides. Limit
I
turnovers on offense, create turnovers on defense.
I think this is going to be one of the best tests for Buffalo. Like, if Buffalo has a good showing, I will adjust my opinion. Whether they win or lose, I need a good
We'll
showing.
see. Um, I would like them to not have a good showing, if I'm
I
being
mean, that's
honest.
fair. That's fair.
We'll see. Um, I'm assuming McDonald is going to look a lot at that Ravens tape
Oh yeah,
and see what he can glean and what he can figure out from that and how to beat them.
I do
But
think, unfortunately, Amari
it does change.
changes that a little bit.
Well,
You
we'll see.
can't play man to man the whole day.
We will see. Um, and then my game of the week went for a very interesting one. I don't really know why I picked it, but I
I
picked
don't
it.
know.
Oh, I do know. Um, because I was gonna go along the same lines as you, but I couldn't do it the other game.
That's
I was
fair.
like, because
I
we
hated it.
play, yeah, it was a whole thing. I went with Dallas at San Francisco. Watching two train wrecks kind of collide together might be a little fun, in a sadistic way. Um,
Let's see if we can watch terrible football this week.
yeah, I'm more intrigued in just seeing how San Francisco responds. Obviously
That's
not
fair.
a good Dallas team. McCaffrey is reportedly starting to make some strides to get ready. So we'll see what happens there. Seattle plays them in 2 weeks, San Francisco. So I'm kind of intrigued overall on just how they bounce back from that. And that's really it.
I mean,
Two teams aren't playing well. Dallas has issues. San Francisco has a lot of issues too. I think it'll be kind of a toss up.
I think on paper this should be San Fran's to win. Dallas can't stop the run. You run the ball really well. Both teams have problems in the red zone. I do think, we talk about moments that motivate teams. For San Fran, you just had one of the worst games of your season. And for Dallas, you have been by multiple people called soft, which is actually very offensive to NFL players. So how do you rally? How do you come back? How do you prove them wrong? Um, should be an interesting game. I'm not going to call it a good game, but it should be interesting. Um, as Brendan alluded to, I've made a decision on some things. So we're going to start with the Ravens. Baltimore is at Cleveland, 10 a.m. Pacific, so 1 p.m. Eastern. Um, Obviously, I'll get into more of this during my preview. We are actually going to do them this week. I promise. My big thing is going to be, does Myles Garrett get through the D line? If the answer to that is no, I think the Ravens will have a successful week. Even if Winston plays, the Browns just don't look that great right now. You just traded your best wide receiver. Judy is visibly upset. Um, he does better with Winston in, but yeah, I just think Cleveland's just not playing right now. They have had a lot of problems. You know, Unfortunately, Deshaun's injury could either be demoralizing or uplifting if the team can rally. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously I want to see just more improvements in the pass game. Hopefully Humphrey will be good to go. But I think the Ravens offense just keep rolling. Just keep doing what you're doing. Limit the penalties on the O-line, though. Um, Lamar's not going to get sacked. I did not like those hits to the head he took, so I would like us to limit that. We don't need to be doing that. He's got a thick skull. I was really impressed that nobody pulled him aside for a concussion protocol, because I probably would have. But let's just limit that. Other than that, he's fine. Oh, and Lamar does not need to be blocking for Derrick Henry. I don't know what the hell that was about, but just stop it. Stop it. I have a lot of respect for you. There's no need to do that. Henry does not want him to do that. During last week's episode of Wired, Lamar told Henry, he's like, hey, I'm going to keep it on this play. And Henry was like, no, give it to me. And he was like, no, I'm going to keep it. He's like, can you just be careful? Can you just, like, Henry just wants Lamar to be safe. It's not about a selfish thing. He's just like, please, God, don't get hurt. So the 2 hits to the head, I didn't love. Don't block for Derrick Henry. There's no need. Derrick Henry's a truck. He'll block for himself. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Division game should be good. I think Cincinnati and Baltimore, or not Cincinnati, Cleveland and Baltimore, they tend to split their matchups. Neither one of them really owns the other. So we'll see. As for the decision I made, I keep picking games of the week based off story or who I think is going to play well. And for the most part, I have an adequate understanding of what each week should look like. However, my games of the week are either mildly disappointing or they go roughly the way I expect them to, which is kind of boring. So to ensure that my previews going into Ravens weeks, I've seen the team they're going to play. I've decided to always pick the game of the team they play next. So in week 9, the Ravens play Denver. So for this week, I picked the Denver game. Kind of hate it because they play Carolina, but it just worked out this way where I picked Cincinnati Cleveland last week and they play Cleveland this coming. So I am choosing to still start this plan. If it hadn't worked out that way with Cleveland, I would probably pick a different game. I don't really know which game. I looked at the schedule. Nothing really pops off. The one that I'll probably keeping an eye on, it's like a soft game of the week. If Jaden Daniels plays, the Commanders play the Bears. So it's the round 1 versus round 2, or pick 1 versus pick 2 in the draft. It's always an interesting matchup. Last year it was Stroud versus Young. It was actually the only win Young got. So there's always just kind of an interesting dynamic that happens there. So I'll probably keep a close eye on that game too. But my game of the week is going to be Carolina at Denver at 1:25 p.m. Pacific, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Simply for the fact that the Ravens play Denver next, and this way I can say I've seen Denver recently. I know what that team kind of looks like. So my preview should hopefully be a little more accurate, have a little bit more information.
Nice. That's a point. I almost went for the Rams, but they played Minnesota, and I feel like we've just been talking a lot about Minnesota. So
we have, and I think that's my kind of other thing, is I feel like this gives me a chance to talk about other teams.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you and I keep gravitating towards the good games
team?
because we appreciate good football. As you mentioned earlier, bad teams I don't really care about. I don't really feel the need to talk about Carolina. I talked about them briefly because they got shit on.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about good football.
Until
good
Carolina
teams.
does something wildly interesting, which I feel like
I
they
promise
might.
if they beat Denver, we'll talk about it.
Or if they they're one. I see them throwing up the white flag and trading some people.
Yeah.
I can see a couple teams on that right now. There's definitely some.
Yeah.
The trade deadline's going to be very fun, I feel like.
So yeah, and obviously as trades come down, we will talk about them. We talked about Devontae. We talked about Amari. We're going to talk about those things as they come up. So, but yeah, Carolina at Denver. Don't think it's going to be a good game at all.
No.
Think it's going to be a blowout. It will be interesting to see how Bo Nix plays and what Sean Payton does with the playbook. but that defense has been playing really well, and
That offense is
Carolina's
not.
trash.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting one. Well, I shouldn't say interesting.
I don't think that it will.
It'll definitely be a. It'll
I
definitely
am
be
watching
probably a
it
sad one.
as purely for information gathering purposes. That's it. There's no other reason. None whatsoever. So, alrighty. Well, Brennan, any final thoughts, or does that wrap us for the week?
I think that does it for us this week.
Awesome. It's been a good episode. We've talked
Yeah.
everything. Talked hockey, WNBA, NBA, football, college football. It's crazy.
Yeah, shit.
Action packed.
All that. Look at us go.
Trash some teams. Elevated some teams. Yeah, it's just a well-rounded day.
You could say that. That all being said, make sure like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to see. Try to guess what college I go to.
Yeah, just talk to us.
We've narrowed it down quite a lot for you at this point. But yeah, that being said, I've been Brendan.
And I'm in Dallas. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and TikTok.
And this has been Fox News Podcast. Thank y'all.
Bye.